A warm welcome, and thank you for joining the Winning Paths podcast family. We'd like to take a moment to express our sincere gratitude for your support and enthusiasm. Your subscription means the world to us, and we're thrilled to have you on this archery journey. At Winning Paths, part of TIFAM, the Irish Field Archery Monthly, we're not just an audio channel, we're a community of passionate archery enthusiasts, united by our love for this ancient and captivating sport. Whether you're a seasoned archer or just starting out, our podcast is here for you. Dive into archery's rich history with our insightful monologues, exploring fascinating moments from ancient archers to modern-day legends, lore, and myths. Our interviews feature key figures in the archery world, sharing their experiences, insights, and advice. Our hosts also aren't afraid to voice bold and sometimes thought-provoking opinions, sparking lively discussions within our community. If you're enjoying the Winning Paths podcast, be sure to subscribe on Spotify and YouTube, share it with fellow archery enthusiasts, and together we can create a vibrant hub for everything archery, a place where passion meets knowledge and every arrow finds its mark. Thank you once again for being a part of the Winning Paths family. Your support fuels our passion, and we're excited to keep bringing you engaging content that resonates with the archery community. Subscribe on Spotify, follow us on YouTube, and let's continue shooting for the stars together. Greetings, readers, and welcome to an exploration where the bullseye is not merely a target, but a journey spanning history, literature, and the subtle artistry of the bow. Today, we set our sights on the wild terrains of Westeros and Essos, guided by the quiver of George R.R. Martin's sprawling epic, A Song of Ice and Fire. Here, in a land where steel and sorcery intertwine, archery emerges not as a mere martial skill, but as a deeper symbol, woven into the very fabric of cultures, personal destinies, and the shifting tides of power. In the icy realms of the north, where winter looms eternal, the bow serves as a lifeline, a tool essential for survival. It is in this setting that Theon Greyjoy's tale unfolds, a story of pride, betrayal, and a search for absolution. His arrows chart his transformation, from a proud marksman in the service of House Stark to a haunted soul seeking redemption for past transgressions. Beyond the wall, among the free folk, archery is the embodiment of resilience and freedom. Characters like Ygritte wield their bows with the ferocity of those who live beyond the reach of lords and kings, their arrows singing of defiance against a harsh, indifferent world. Further south, the Vale's steep cliffs echo with the chivalric traditions of knightly honor, where archery contests serve as rites of skill and nobility. Yet, across the sea in Essos, the Dothraki's archers, masters of mounted warfare, offer a thrilling contrast. Their arrows, loosed from galloping horses, speak of a nomadic life where the bow is not bound to codes of honor, but to the rhythms of the open steppe. Martin's intricate world-building captures these varied expressions, each arrow carrying with it the weight of history, identity, and fate. Archery in this saga transcends mere sport or warfare. It becomes a means of character revelation, a tool for exposing the ambitions, conflicts, and growth of those who wield it. From Bran Stark's early dreams of becoming a skilled archer, dreams shattered by a fateful fall, to Ongai's masterful marksmanship that challenges rigid hierarchies, every drawn bowstring tells a story of transformation. Martin uses the bow to weave together themes of power, survival, and the inexorable march of time, where even a single arrow can shift the balance of kingdoms. Yet, we must not forget the moments of humor, the absurdities of fate that lurk in the shadows of Martin's world. As we navigate these winning paths of archery, we encounter strategic deployments in battles, the political and social implications of archers on the field, and the subtle, almost poetic symbolism that these weapons carry. Martin's archery is at once a means of survival and a metaphor for the far-reaching consequences of choice, a reminder that even the hum of a bowstring can change the course of history. Let us begin, then, with arrows notched and bows drawn, venturing into the intricate ways of archery within Martin's epic, a tale where the whisper of the bowstring rivals the clash of kings, and the flight of an arrow can decide the fate of a realm. In the north, archery is not simply a pastime, it is a necessity, embedded in the very rhythm of life. The vast wilderness and unforgiving winters make the bow a crucial tool for hunting and defense. Theon Greyjoy, though a ward of House Stark, wields his bow with the precision expected of a Stark retainer, a symbol of his integration into their way of life despite his iron-born roots. Yet, as his story unravels, his skill with the bow becomes a haunting echo of the man he once was, a reminder of the pride that led him to betray those who treated him as kin. His eventual path towards redemption, a painful and halting journey, is marked by the gradual loss and recovery of his sense of self, mirrored in the absence and return of his martial prowess. Among the free folk beyond the wall, archery is more than a means of survival. It is a declaration of independence. Ygritte, with her deadly aim and defiant spirit, embodies the wildling ethos of freedom, untouched by the codes and banners that govern the South. Her relationship with Jon Snow, fraught with the tensions of love and loyalty, is punctuated by moments where their shared skill in archery becomes a bridge between two worlds. For the free folk, each arrow loosed is a testament to their self-sufficiency, a rejection of the chains of feudal order that bind the Seven Kingdoms. In the Vale, archery is elevated to a ritual of chivalry, with young knights honing their skills in contests that celebrate precision and honor. The tournaments held by the Arryns serve as a stage where skill with a bow is as revered as prowess with a sword, reflecting the region's blend of martial pride and noble ideals. Yet, across the narrow sea, in the steppes of Essos, the Dothraki archers see the bow not as a tool of honor, but as an extension of their nomadic lifestyle, suited for lightning-fast raids and fierce battles on horseback. Their mastery of mounted archery is a stark contrast to the formalized traditions of Westeros, emphasizing mobility, fluidity, and the primal strength of those who live beyond walls and cities. Beyond its role in shaping cultures, archery is pivotal in defining the paths of individual characters. Bran Stark's early fascination with archery, an enthusiasm abruptly curtailed by his fall, serves as a poignant symbol of lost potential and altered destiny. Deprived of his ability to shoot, Bran's path shifts toward the mystical, the bow replaced by the far-reaching vision of a green seer. Yet the memory of those days with a bow in hand lingers as a reminder of what could have been, underscoring themes of loss and the inexorable pull of fate. For Anguille, the sharp-eyed archer of the Brotherhood without banners, skill with the bow is a source of pride, a talent that elevates him above the common rabble and allows him to fight for a higher cause. His accuracy and prowess in the use of the longbow make him a key figure in the Brotherhood's guerrilla campaigns, where archery is not merely a skill, but a means of resisting the tyranny of the realm's ruling classes. Through Anguille, Martin explores the egalitarian potential of archery, where status is earned through merit rather than birth, and the humble bow becomes a symbol of the underdog's fight against oppression. The strategic role of archery in warfare is vividly illustrated in battles where arrows can turn the tide of conflict. In the Battle of the Blackwater, Tyrion Lannister's forces use fire-tipped arrows to unleash wildfire upon Stannis Baratheon's fleet, transforming the river into a sea of flames. This act of desperation and cunning demonstrates how the bow, when wielded with ingenuity, can change the fortunes of war. Similarly, in the defense of Castle Black, the Night's Watch, outnumbered and surrounded, rely on their archers to repel the wildling horde, highlighting the effectiveness of archery in holding a fortified position against overwhelming odds. Archery's impact extends beyond the physical battlefield, touching upon the psychological dimensions of warfare. The unseen threat of an arrow, its flight swift and silent, has the power to instill fear and unsettle even the bravest soldiers. This psychological warfare is captured in moments where characters on both sides of a conflict grapple with the terror of death arriving from a distance, a reminder of the ever-present danger that lurks beyond the range of sight. Yet, for all its strategic and symbolic power, archery in A Song of Ice and Fire is not without its darker implications. Ramsay Bolton's use of a bow to toy with Rickon Stark before the Battle of the Bastards is a cruel subversion of the honor associated with archery. His sadistic pleasure in prolonging the agony of his prey, using the bow as a tool of psychological torment, stands in stark contrast to the valorized images of archers in Westerosi tradition. Through Ramsay, Martin explores the perverse ways in which power can corrupt, using archery as a means of expressing the darkest aspects of human nature. The tension between honor and pragmatism is a recurring theme in Martin's treatment of archery. In Westeros, where knights uphold ideals of chivalry, there is often a disdain for methods of combat that do not conform to the noble art of close-quarter combat. Yet, time and again, archery proves itself indispensable, leveling the playing field between noble and commoner, powerful and powerless. It becomes a weapon of choice for those who must rely on skill rather than birthright, challenging the rigid hierarchies of Westerosi society. Even in moments of introspection, the bow remains a potent symbol. Arya Stark, whose early lessons with a bow hint at a rejection of traditional feminine roles, carries forward the spirit of archery into her broader journey of self-determination and vengeance. Though she trades the bow for other weapons, the independence it represents stays with her, driving her quest for justice against those who have wronged her family. In contrast, Sansa Stark, who never takes up the bow, becomes a metaphorical archer in her own right, learning to navigate the treacherous political landscapes with precision and patience, each word a well-aimed arrow in the courtly game of power. Tyrion Lannister, though not an archer himself, is intimately connected to the consequences of archery. His strategic use of archers at the Blackwater, and his later act of patricide with a crossbow, underscore the role of archery as a tool of both defense and retribution. The crossbow, with its association with assassination and treachery, adds a layer of moral complexity to Tyrion's actions, raising questions about justice, vengeance, and the shifting dynamics of power within the family and the realm. In the books, archery is a thread that weaves through the narrative, binding together themes of survival, identity, and the weight of choice. Martin uses the bow as both a literal and metaphorical instrument, capable of shaping destinies and turning the tide of history. Whether in the hands of a young noble or a rogue outlaw, the bow speaks of freedom and constraint, of the past that shapes us, and the future that lies just beyond the reach of an arrow's flight. Thus we find that archery in Martin's world is far more than a simple tool of war. It is a mirror reflecting the complexities of human nature. Each arrow, loosed across the battlefield or the quiet woods, carries with it the hopes, fears, and conflicts of those who wield it. And so Martin's realm is a place where archers and kings walk the same uncertain paths, where each shot echoes through the ages, shaping the tales yet to be told. Martin has openly acknowledged that he looked to real historical events, such as the Wars of the Roses, a series of dynastic conflicts in England during the 15th century, as a key inspiration for the struggle between houses in A Song of Ice and Fire. Archery, particularly the longbow, was a critical factor in battles like Agincourt, where the English longbowmen famously decimated the French forces despite being heavily outnumbered. The strategic use of archers in pivotal battles, such as the Battle of the Blackwater, mirrors these historical precedents, where well-positioned bowmen could change the course of a conflict. Moreover, Martin's attention to detail in portraying archery techniques and their impact suggests that he may have drawn from medieval manuals and records of warfare, where archers were trained to strike with precision from the defensive advantage of castle walls or hidden positions. This aligns with the tactics used by the Night's Watch during the wildling attack on Castle Black, emphasizing the importance of terrain and defensive positioning in medieval combat. While Martin's approach to archery is rooted in the historical realism of medieval Europe, other fantasy authors have treated archery with varying levels of focus and significance, often adapting it to suit their world's needs and themes. A comparison with some of the most notable works in the fantasy genre reveals how Martin's depiction of archery stands apart. In J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings, archery is associated with nobility and grace, particularly through the character of Legolas, the elven prince. Legolas's skill with the bow is a reflection of the elves' close connection to nature and their superior agility. The bow in Tolkien's world is more than a weapon. It symbolizes the ethereal qualities of elvenkind, blending elegance with deadly precision. The depiction of archery here is often poetic, focusing on the almost supernatural capabilities of the elves, where each arrow flies with a sense of timelessness and ancient wisdom. In contrast, Martin's depiction of archers, such as Anguille or the wildlings, emphasizes their gritty humanity. While Tolkien's archers seem almost detached from the grim realities of war, Martin's characters are firmly anchored in them. Anguille's prowess with the bow is practical, honed by necessity rather than mysticism, and is used in guerrilla warfare and ambushes rather than sweeping battles of good versus evil. This earthiness extends to the free folk, where archery is a means of survival in the harsh landscapes beyond the wall. The bow here is not an ancient relic, but a tool born out of the unforgiving demands of their environment. Another comparison can be made with Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time, where archery is often depicted as part of the disciplined military tactics of various factions, such as the Ail and the armies of Andor. Jordan, much like Martin, emphasizes the importance of training and the tactical use of archers in battle formations, though he often interweaves it with elements of magic and prophecy that lend an air of mysticism to the battles. In Martin's world, there is a stark absence of such magical embellishments in the portrayal of archery. Even where magic exists, as with Bran's greenseer abilities, it does not directly influence the art of archery itself, maintaining a clear boundary between the mystical and the martial. George R.R. Martin's approach to incorporating archery into his narrative is a reflection of his broader philosophy of storytelling, one that seeks to confront readers with the moral complexities and harsh realities of a medieval-inspired world. This philosophy diverges from the more escapist traditions of fantasy, where heroism and noble deeds often prevail over gritty realism. In interviews, Martin has often spoken of his desire to write about the human heart in conflict with itself, a theme famously advocated by William Faulkner. This focus on internal struggles is evident in how archery scenes are written in A Song of Ice and Fire. Characters such as Theon and John, whose use of the bow is closely tied to their inner conflicts and evolving sense of self, illustrate how Martin uses archery as a means to explore the personal dilemmas of his protagonists. Where other authors might focus on the heroic grandeur of archery, Martin digs deeper into what it means for a character to take aim, to hesitate, and to face the consequences of releasing that arrow. This philosophical approach extends to the narrative's broader treatment of warfare. Martin has been influenced by the works of historical novelists such as Maurice Drouin, author of the Accursed Kings series, which details the political and familial conflicts of medieval France with a stark, unromantic lens. From Drouin, Martin seems to have taken the idea that power and war are often brutal and morally ambiguous, and he has applied this to his portrayal of archery in battle. The volley of arrows at the Battle of the Blackwater, igniting the wildfire that decimates Stannis' fleet, is an image of horror as much as it is a spectacle of military strategy. It serves as a reminder that in Martin's world, war is a brutal equation where strategy must contend with human cost. One of the intriguing aspects of Martin's use of archery is how it functions as a narrative catalyst. The attempted assassination of Bran Stark, involving a mysterious Valyrian steel dagger, sets off a series of events that lead to the War of the Five Kings. The presence of a bow in this scene is no coincidence. It reinforces the role of archery as a symbol of distant, shadowy danger, one that strikes without warning and changes the course of history. This use of the bow as a harbinger of conflict is reminiscent of the classical Greek notion of fate, where small actions ripple outward to reshape destinies. Martin's depiction of archery as a narrative driver can be contrasted with the use of the bow in Ursula K. Le Guin's Earthsea series, where archery is more of a background element, existing as part of the world's cultural fabric without taking center stage in the plot. Le Guin's focus is more on the exploration of magic, identity, and societal structures, with combat playing a secondary role. In Martin's Westeros, however, archery is not only a tool of warfare, but a thread that binds together characters' fates and the broader political machinations of the realm. In the broader context of fantasy literature, archery often serves as a metaphor for precision, focus, and the tension between control and release. Martin employs this metaphor with a distinctive edge, emphasizing the weight of each shot not just in terms of physical aim, but in the moral and psychological ramifications of each action. This approach sets his work apart from the more allegorical uses of archery seen in classics like Robin Hood legends, where the bow becomes a symbol of social justice and the redistribution of power. In A Song of Ice and Fire, the bow is neither inherently noble nor inherently corrupt. It is a weapon that can be used for righteous causes, as seen with the Brotherhood without banners, or for acts of cruelty, as demonstrated by Ramsay Bolton. This duality aligns with Martin's larger thematic focus on the ambiguity of power and the shades of grey in human nature. Reaching deeper into Martin's historical influences, it is clear that his portrayal of archery draws heavily from the English longbowman, whose impact on medieval warfare was profound. The longbow was known for its range and power, allowing English forces to win battles like Agincourt against heavily armoured knights. Martin echoes this in his depictions of Westerosi battles, where archers often serve as crucial elements in defensive strategies. For example, the defense of Castle Black relies heavily on the Night's Watch's use of arrows to repel the overwhelming wildling forces, a scene reminiscent of outnumbered defenders holding off against a greater threat through strategic use of ranged attacks. The use of crossbows in Martin's narrative further ties into medieval history, where the crossbow was seen as a weapon that democratized warfare. Its ease of use compared to the longbow meant that even untrained soldiers could wield it effectively, which threatened the dominance of traditional knightly classes. Martin uses the crossbow in a particularly subversive manner when Tyrion Lannister murders his father, Tywin, with one, a symbolic moment that overturns the power dynamics between the Lannisters and underscores the theme of familial betrayal. The crossbow's role as an instrument of sudden and unexpected violence in this scene draws directly from its historical connotations as a weapon of surprise and shift in power. Well, it seems it's time for us to hang up our bows and let the echoes of our journey dissolve into the quiet of the evening. For those of you who have joined us along the way, you already know the path we've travelled together. And for those yet to begin, I invite you to return to the start and immerse yourself in stories of archers and warriors, of noble quests and bitter betrayals, of choices made in that fleeting moment between drawing the bowstring and releasing it. This podcast has never been about facts or strategies alone. It has been a journey through the hearts of heroes, shaped by the strength of their arrows and the winding trails they chose, paths that, like our own, are sometimes straight and true, and other times venture into the wild unknown. As I bid you farewell, I am reminded of a line from T.S. Eliot that feels fitting for this moment. We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. Perhaps now, as we part ways, you'll see this world through new eyes, finding meaning in the tension of a drawn bow, in the silence just before an arrow takes flight. And so, until we meet again in another story, or share a quiet evening by the fireside, I wish you safe travels, true aims, and new horizons to pursue. Thank you for being part of this adventure. Farewell, and may your stories unfold with every step.